So, this is Dr. Rathmore, who is monitoring a subway and communicating with a maintenance guy who is fixing some chewed wires.
Hey, Doc. Sorry I'm late.
Apologize to your partner. He's at station 3.
Oops, that doesn't sound good. But yeah, of course he dies, and the other guy shows up too little too late. Never be alone in a horror story, or leave someone else alone for that matter.
Man down! Station 3! Proceed with extreme caution!
Afterwards, an accountant from the city named Kritz shows up to find out why his budget is so high.
I have a few questions.
There's also a high turnover rate despite how well he pays his workers.
It's hard to get people to work downstairs in the tunnels in the dark.
They get really good benefits too. I'm almost jealous.
You ever hear of hazardous duty supplements?
I'm just trying to understand why your department is line itemized as a division of police services, while your appropriations are handled by a special committee every year.
So right in the middle of this meeting, they bring in a dead vagrant, which is kinda odd.
Perhaps we should have the gentleman wait in the storage room.
It's pretty impressive firepower your men are carrying. You anticipating any terrorist attacks?
Rathmore says that this area of the subway is different.
How?
He's about to give in and explain what's going on when an alert goes off.
Terminate!
What the hell are you doing here?
So now Kritz can just see what's different about it.
See that? Those 2 spots of light? Those are his eyes.
What is that? Is that an old woman?
Yeah, clearly that's an old woman. So yeah, there are Yeti-like creatures living underground in the subway. And they kill this one, much to Kritz's horror, since it looks kind of humanoid and could be the only one of its kind for all he knows.
I can understand now why I need the increased funds.
I don't know what that thing was, but I do know that you just murdered it.
Which leads to an interesting ethical debate.
It is absolutely imperative that we control this population.
No, I absolutely understand that you're requesting money for genocide.
I'm a vaccine, they're a virus. Now, is it genocide to want to control the viruses that cause polio and bubonic plague? What you saw die on the subway was a giant, carrion-feeding, subterranean mole-like mammal with simian cranial development and brainwaves suggesting only a slightly subhuman degree of intelligence.
It turns out that Rathmore once worked for the Museum of Natural History.
I was the director of the Department of Simian and Primate Research. Well, there's a race of creatures living in the subway tunnel.
Yeah, and I suppose they feed off these huge, giant alligators that live in the sewer.
What about all the penguins that live in the sewers? I hope they're okay.
No, actually, they feed off human flesh.
Kurtz keeps looking at the door where they took the dead vagrant. So Rathmore shows him what's inside. He's been keeping one alive in there.
You're feeding them.
Still think we're committing genocide?
Why did we kill this one?
Help people like you understand why we need our funding.
Afterwards, Kritz asks where they come from. Apparently they were always there. Most people just don't know about them.
Why do you think the Indians sold the island so cheap?
What the hell are these things anyway? Are they human? Are they ape? What the hell are they?
I've done autopsies on 94 of them. I still don't know.
94? How many are there?
Who knows?
And if word got out about them, people wouldn't take the subway anymore.
What would surface traffic be like in this city? That's why I'm here. We keep this enemy population in control.
On the upside, they can't survive above ground because sunlight literally burns them, so they're limited to underground.
Unless they went out at night. And they eat human flesh.
Not if you approve funds for a little upgrading.
And now Kritz wants to basically rat him out to someone.
To whom, I'd like to know.
The EPA, the National Guard, Greenpeace, I don't know. We've got a ticking bomb underneath this city, and we've got one man down here who's not even trying to defuse it. Dr. Rathmore, I think you've been downstairs just a little bit too long.
Oh, has he ever?
I can't kill her. She's pregnant.
Now you're breeding the thing.
Kritz is about to leave, but Rathmore pushes a button that locks him in and opens the door to the creature's cage.
This is my work down here and nobody else's!
I promise I won't tell anybody. Cross my heart, I hope to die.
You already threatened to tell on him. Too late to back out now.
There's another reason I can't let you go.
Yeah, there's one final revelation coming.
You see, my wife is now feeding the two.
Yeah. So ends Far Below, and goddamn. This episode was really kind of a slow burn for the first half. There's an off-screen death, but otherwise it's just talking mostly about the budget. But once the Yeti creature in the subway is shown, it becomes a hell of a ride all the way up to Rathmore going, "I fucked a Yeti." Wow. This one is actually based on a very well-known short story written by Robert Barber Johnson in 1939 that was heavily inspired by Lovecraft, and he's even mentioned in the story. In turn, Lovecraft was a fan of his as well. I was actually able to find a YouTube channel where someone did a reading of it. This isn't the first episode of Monsters that was an adaptation, but it is the first one of those where I was actually able to find the source material so I can find out how the episode holds up next to it. In the original story, the creatures are like vampires or werewolves in that when they bite someone, they turn into one of them. Physically, they look somewhat mole-like, but still simian. It's also told from the perspective of a police officer whose job it is to patrol the tunnels. But he did have the same background as Dr. Rathmore and did the dissections talked about in the episode. In the end, really they're different takes on the same idea. I'll link to the reading of it in the description. This adaptation was written by Michael McDowell, who also adapted La Strega. He also wrote the screenplay for Thinner, the Lover's Vow segment of Tales from the Dark Side the movie, along with many episodes of Tales from the Dark Side. The director was, wow, Deborah Hill. I didn't mention it when I covered Halloween because I was focused on John Carpenter, but she's a producer on all of the Halloween movies and co-wrote the first one. She was also Michael's hand in one shot. Dr. Rathmore was played by Barry Nelson, who is mostly a character actor, but horror fans might remember him as Mr. Ullman in The Shining. I guess that's about all I have to say about this crazy-ass episode. I love the ones that start off kind of slow and then just hit you with something. Next up is Micro Minds. See you then. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Here are some other videos you might be interested in, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to further support my channel, there's always Patreon.
And they eat human flesh.
My autopsies indicate that rats and dogs and cats are also a staple of their diet. Unfortunately, they don't seem to like pigeons.